Dave Scalora, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mark. How you doing? 2021, we made it.
We made it. But that doesn't mean 2020 is something to, totally put in the history books because it was a pretty exciting real estate year. And hey, where's that Michelle Ronco? She's got all the best numbers.
Hey guys,
There
how's it
she
going?
is. Michelle, take us to San Benito County.
Yeah, I'm like, where do you start with 2020? What do you say about it? But I did my best, guys. I grabbed some stats, a way of just kind of looking back. 5 points. Let's jump in. I mean, clearly everybody wants to know about median price, right? So here we have it. Median price in San Benito County, single family homes, last 3 years. It's just by month. And I did that purposefully because we want to look at trends. So you can see here that there's a lot of volatility in San Benito County in terms of peaks. It tends to be a little volatile in price over the last couple of years, but 2020 is that bright blue line. And you can just see that, man, that June to October stretch was interesting. And look at that end of the year pricing. It was exceptional. 2020 year over year, month over month growth, the peak price was in December. 729.5 in December of 2020, right? So we thought we had seen it in, it looks like September there, and we thought, oh wow, this is it, and then will it decline? Wow, look at that. I mean, if you look at the 2020 compared to prior years, Mark, Dave, pretty exceptional.
Well, that was
in
certainly
terms of what your sellers.
a happy holiday for those San Benito sellers, that's for sure.
For those sellers, I mean, it was definitely more rough on the buyers. We saw that all over the Bay Area, and San Benito was no exception.
And certainly that higher list price or higher median price, that's going to drive a higher sales volume.
Absolutely. So one of the things I thought was really interesting about 2020 was that we had the pandemic, so we might as well acknowledge
okay, we'll
that.
start there.
Start there, right? So we started off the year doing really well. In fact, look at that March number. This is single family home sale volume 2020 versus 2019. So 2020 is that blue line.
Right.
Started off the year fine, got knocked off, kind of our general cycle in April and May, but ever since June, and we saw this in neighboring Monterey and Santa Cruz, even Santa Clara, it just went, the spring shift to the summer was pretty strong, and then it just continued throughout the fall and winter. So 2020 volume exceeded 2019 volume in San Benito County by more than 11%. So this is not just a little bit, Mark. When you have these high prices, you would expect this. The interesting part, and common interest, I should add, I have a note here. Common interest market also exceeded 2019 by more than 19%.
Wow.
Fewer sales, not that many common interest sales in San Benito County, but yes, both exceeded. And that's not surprising when you have those median prices. What is surprising, well, at least it was to us, was with March, April, May being so down, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if the number of transactions were going to exceed 2019, and it was 20 properties, but it's still bigger. So, all coming in the second half of the year. Biggest number of sales coming in July and November, which is interesting to me because that's a big spread, right? July and November, but it just means the market didn't quit in San Benito County, and it ended December a little down in terms of closed sales, but it was really a unique year and fared, quite well considering the pandemic showings, open house situation. It was really interesting.
Big migrations happening out of the Bay Area and such. But so while those prices were, growing at the second half of the year, that velocity of the market was speeding up at the same time. And that's reflected in that days on market number being so low.
Yeah, so days on market, I mean, I wanted to show this graph because especially in Santa Cruz, Monterey, and San Benito counties, we saw exceptionally low days on market, right? So we usually see single digits in Santa Clara County. We could see it in San Mateo County, but look at this. Single digits towards twice the end of the year, which, by the way, I couldn't find. I stopped looking in 2015, but I couldn't find, Mark, single digits, right? I couldn't find them anywhere in history. So this was really interesting, historic. I mean, I guess, right? Historic, because we just hadn't seen that. And we saw it for quite a few months towards the end of the year. We didn't see the seasonality. I think that's a big story. Towards the end of the year, we see things creeping back up. People take their time. Houses sit a little bit longer. it didn't happen this year. That's how you see 2019 on the left-hand side of the graph. We didn't have that towards the end of this year. It's getting faster, right? So your buyers had less time. And if you want to, I mean, this is quite a graph, and I apologize, but it's 3 years worth of data because I wanted to show you a normal couple years of cycle.
Right.
Left-hand side 2018, middle 2019, right-hand side 2020, because this is the only way you really get the feeling of how days on market, yellow bars going down, and prices rising so fast. So that big gap there on the right-hand side just shows you how tight the market was in 2020 for sure. San Benito County, I mean, it was really exceptional.
Now, inventory, you know, you always said at the beginning of last year, keep an eye on the inventory. Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, our partner economist, keep an eye on the inventory. Did it did it follow your instructions?
He was right. Yeah, Dr. Eisenberg, our partner economist, great guy. You know, as we were talking to him about in 2019, transitioning into 2020, we said, what's going to be the big story? I mean, we didn't know pandemic, right? He didn't call that one. No one did. But he said, you know, inventory is definitely, he didn't even consider it a concern, Mark. He just said, man, inventory is so low in the Bay Area that it really is going to make or break. It's kind of shape 2020. And he was right. I mean, this is a look at inventory, left-hand side 2019, right-hand side 2020. And you could see where inventory was really tight. And it was particularly tight at the end of the year. It shows you kind of what was happening while median sale prices were rising. That's that yellow line there.
Right.
So so he was really, you know, lower inventory puts pressure on sale prices, which is why you see them rise. There was some volatility, but in general, there just was not as much to choose from. And so going into 2021, you say, well, what happened with the new listings? So this is 3 years worth of new listings from by month. So that blue line, so you can see here, we got kind of knocked off the regular cycle, March, April, May, but then came back in, had a very strong fall, and ended the year, you know, a little higher than where we would be in where we would be usually in December. So that means that we're starting 2021 off, you know, a little bit higher, a little bit more to choose from, faster market, higher prices. So it's going to be really interesting if people, you know, buyers are going to come out and say, hey, there's something to choose from, or wow, those prices are really high, I'll wait a little bit. You know, it's going to be really interesting. They have to feel like there's something to buy. So, you know, hopefully we'll see those new listings continue on strong.
Right. Inventory is just, you know, it seems like as fast as they can get it onto the market sort of picks up speed and starts chewing it even faster. And I know you've brought some brand new numbers for us to look at. We don't usually look at this, but I really like what the story it tells.
Yeah, so it's month supply of inventory. This is a NAR slide, right? So they produced it published it in December 2020, and it's a national look at the month supply of inventory. We call it months to sell, right? So you'll see, you know, a lot of different ways of categorizing this stat, but basically what it is how many months would it take you to run out of inventory at the current rate of sales, assuming no new listings. And what that tells you is how quickly the market's getting kind of moving. Things come off, things come back, things come on, they come back off. Now, this is a national look at the last year, right? And so, well, actually several years, they do it by quarter. I just took that data and showed you, if they're saying it's in an all-time low nationally, those are the red bars plotted against San Benito County's months to sell just for the last year, right? Just to show you in 2020 that San Benito, with the exception of April, right, was lower than even the national months of inventory, meaning there was less than 2 months of inventory after, you know, August and on, right? So it is just really impressive. And I'm going to be honest, we've joked about this, Mark. I don't know if that NAR slide, we couldn't find it, right? We looked and looked. We don't know if it was single family and condo townhomes or just single family, but either way, it's telling you that there's all this inventory that was, you know, nationally historically low, and San Benito's falling below it most of the time. So just, it's a tight market.
We can go lower than that low. I think we've proven that across 5 counties coming up. Now, as we said, the whole discussion about inventory was probably, you know, certainly generated by Dr. Eisenberg, But I'm hearing rumors. In fact, they're not even rumors anymore. They're actually true. Dr. Eisenberg's coming back to MLS Listings Live.
Absolutely, he is, and it's going to be really great. It's Thursday, February the 4th, 1 o'clock, and there's a lot to be talking about. I mean, we ended 2020 in just such an interesting place. We saw less price decreases. We saw 100% of sale to list price ratio in San Benito County in November, December, what we don't usually see. 100% of ask. We saw multiple offer situations. Dom, I mean, what does that mean for 2021? Dr. Eisenberg is going to come on and talk about it. I can't be forward looking, Mark, but he can, and he could talk from a national perspective. He can talk about the Bay Area. He can talk about migration and purchase power. I mean, he can talk about a lot of things. So come join us, because you could ask some questions. We have questions to ask him, but 1 o'clock. And you've said that the room fills up, right? So I'm always behind the scenes. So tell everybody about that. I think that's,
Yeah, I think it's just, it's a virtual webinar environment. There are only so many seats. Certainly we're going to record it and have it available for everyone, afterwards. But if you want to come ask questions live, you want to hear it directly from the doctor, get there early. And John Aquino is our communications director. He's going to have that banner up on that pro homepage for you, so you can easily click on it and get into that event. It's going to be fun. Absolutely.
He's super entertaining, and there's a lot to talk about. So if you're gonna, dedicate an hour of your time, Mark, I think it's gonna be really, really great for him to talk about, 2021. We're off with a bang. But before we move into our full 2021, group here, I wanted to talk about the team, because we're wrapping up 2020 in a lot of ways, and we are often in front of the camera, Mark. You and I, Dave Scalora, our guy there, steps in and helps us out from time to time, but the viewers don't get to see the rest of the team, whether it's Aculus Reports, Aculus Content, MLS Listings, Communications, like you mentioned. Everything is done with the team in mind. So we wanted to say a big thank you to our team that helps us out with these every month. And also to the viewers, Mark, because there's some really great people out there that send us really nice notes, tell us how to get better, tell us what they want to see, and we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, as they say, this is not a spectator sport. There are so many people working with us and behind us, and the viewers out in front of us. Couldn't do it without all of them coming to the show every month to learn about what's going on in the marketplace and staying relevant in the real estate industry. Okay, come and join us on February 4th for the Dr. Eisenberg Show. We're going to give it a new name. And every month, keep coming back and finding out what's going on in your marketplace, because that's what Aculus does. It keeps you informed and keeps you entertained at the same time. Michelle, thank you as always.
We sure try. Absolutely. We'll be back in February, Mark, and we'll look forward to seeing everyone then.
Wonderful. Everybody stay safe and healthy out there. Bye now.
Make sure to check out our Pro Support page for additional videos on a full range of topics. And don't forget to click that subscribe button on our MLS Listings YouTube page.